Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories. The forgotten frequency, the old radio tower wasn't supposed to be active anymore. That's what the file said anyway. Decommissioned in 1987 after the new digital communications hub was built 30 miles south. But here I was, staring up at the rusted metal skeleton against the gray October sky, watching the red warning light at its apex blink steadily on and off. On, off, on, off. My job at the Department of Communications Oversight wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Field inspector for abandoned telecommunications infrastructure. I drove around rural America making sure old radio towers, satellite dishes, and transmission stations weren't being repurposed by pirate broadcasters or falling onto farmland. Usually I'd find nothing but rust and wildlife. This tower, radio transmission station number 47, tucked away in the Appalachian foothills of West Virginia, shouldn't have had power. The access road was nearly reclaimed by forest, and I'd had to hike the last quarter mile when fallen trees blocked my government-issued Jeep. I checked my paperwork again. Complete decommission, all power lines severed. Equipment removed, yet that light kept blinking, and as I approached the small concrete building at the tower's base, I could hear the unmistakable hum of electricity. The padlock on the door was intact but ancient, flaking with rust. My master key slid in with difficulty, and the lock released with a reluctant groan. The door protested equally when I pushed it open, metal scraping against concrete. The smell hit me first, that distinct odor of warm electronics and dust, not the musty, abandoned scent I expected. Inside, a single bulb illuminated what should have been an empty room. Instead, I found myself staring at a fully operational radio transmission setup. Vintage equipment from the 80s hummed and blinked, meters bouncing, dials set to specific frequencies. "What the hell?" I muttered, stepping inside. The door swung shut behind me with a heavy thud. I jumped, then laughed at my own nervousness. The place was clearly being used by someone, probably locals who'd found a way to tap into the power grid. I'd seen it before, though never a setup this elaborate. I pulled out my phone to document the equipment and call my supervisor, but there was no signal, typical for these remote locations. I'd have to take photos and report it when I got back to civilization. The main transmission console was active, broadcasting on 91.7 megahertz. I leaned closer, examining the equipment. Everything was meticulously maintained, despite its age. No dust on the dials, no corrosion on the connections. Someone was taking good care of this equipment. Curiosity got the better of me. I found an old radio receiver on a shelf and turned it on, tuning it to 91.7. Static hissed from the speaker, then cleared to reveal nothing, just dead air being broadcast. I frowned, checking the transmission equipment again. The meters indicated it was definitely sending a signal, but nothing was coming through. I was about to turn the receiver off when I heard it, a faint voice, barely audible beneath the static. "Help us," I froze, adjusting the tuning slightly to get a clearer signal. "Please, we're still here." The voice was thin, distant, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. I glanced at the broadcasting equipment. The microphone was disconnected. Whatever I was hearing couldn't be coming from this station. "Hello," I said aloud, feeling foolish. "Is someone there?" The static shifted, like something was responding to my voice. "Daniel," the voice whispered. My blood went cold. I hadn't told anyone my name. I hadn't spoken it aloud. "Daniel Collins, we've been waiting." I backed away from the equipment, knocking over a chair. This had to be some kind of prank. Maybe the locals had spotted my government vehicle and were messing with me through another transmitter. But how did they know my name? "Who is this?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. "This is federal property. Unauthorized use of transmission equipment is a federal offense." The static cleared momentarily, and a different voice came through, stronger this time. "We've been waiting for someone to hear us, Daniel. It's been so long. I should have left then. Should have locked up and hiked back to my Jeep, reported the active equipment, and let a team with proper authorization handle it. That's what protocol dictated. Instead, I found myself asking, 'Who are you?' 'We are the forgotten,' the voice replied. 'The ones they left behind.' Left behind where? What are you talking about?" The transmission crackled, and for a moment I thought I'd lost the connection. Then the voice returned, so clear it was as if someone was standing beside me. "In 1987, they didn't decommission us, Daniel. They buried us." A chill ran down my spine. I glanced at the door, suddenly aware of how isolated I was. No cell service. No one knew exactly where I'd gone today. I'd filed my general itinerary, but these inspection routes often changed based on road conditions and access. "I don't understand," I said, even as a part of me urged myself to stop engaging, to leave immediately. "The accident," the voice said, a hint of impatience creeping in. "They never told the public. 17 technicians. Radiation exposure, but we didn't die, Daniel. We changed." I shook my head. "This isn't funny. Whoever's doing this, you're breaking federal law. Check the logbook, the voice said, bottom drawer. Left side of the console. Against my better judgment, I knelt and opened the drawer. Inside was an old, leather-bound logbook, its pages yellowed with age. I pulled it out and opened it to the last entry. October 17, 1987. The handwriting was hurried, almost frantic. Something's wrong with the new equipment, radiation levels spiking, containment failing, God help us all. The entry ended there. I flipped through the previous pages. Normal operational notes, maintenance records, shift changes, nothing unusual until that final entry. That was the day they sealed us in, the voice said, buried the evidence. Reported a successful decommission. That's impossible, I said. If there was a radiation leak, there would be records, an investigation. Look behind the equipment rack, the voice instructed. I hesitated, then moved to the large metal rack that housed the main transmission equipment. I pulled it away from the wall slightly, revealing what looked like a sealed door, heavy metal with warning signs. Radiation hazard. Authorized personnel only. What is this? I whispered. The real transmission room, the voice replied. Where we've been trapped 35 years, Daniel. Our bodies are long gone, but we're still here, in the frequencies, in the signals. In the electricity itself. I backed away from the door. This is crazy, you're trying to scare me. We're trying to save you, the voice insisted. They're coming back, we've seen them. Monthly inspections that don't appear on any official records. Men in hazmat suits taking readings, ensuring the containment holds. They'll be here tomorrow, Daniel. If they find you've discovered this, you'll disappear too. I looked at my watch. It was getting late, the autumn sun already beginning to set. I needed to leave to get back to my Jeep before dark. I'm going now, I announced, moving toward the exit. I'll be reporting this unauthorized use of government equipment. They'll deny everything, the voice said. They'll say you're unstable. They've done it before. Check your employee records when you get back. See how many inspectors have been assigned to station number 47 over the years. See how many have been terminated for psychological reasons after their visits. I reached for the door handle, but hesitated. Why are you telling me this? What do you want? We want out, Daniel. We want release. After decades trapped between life and death, we want peace. And how am I supposed to help with that? I asked, my hand still on the door. The containment system, the voice explained. It's powered through the main console. If it loses power, the radiation will disperse, will finally be free, and potentially contaminate the entire area, I pointed out. The radiation isn't what they told you, the voice insisted. It's not harmful, not anymore. It's evolved like us. It will dissipate harmlessly, but will be released. I shook my head. I can't take that risk. Then we can't let you leave. The lights flickered, and the door handle beneath my palm suddenly grew hot. I yanked my hand away with a cry of pain, looking down at my reddened skin. What the hell? We control the electricity here, Daniel, the voice said, now coming from the overhead speakers rather than the radio. We've had decades to learn how to manipulate it. You can help us willingly, or we can make you help us, but you will help us. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly, my breath fogging in front of me. The equipment hummed louder, dials spinning of their own accord. This isn't possible, I muttered, trying the door again. The handle was now ice cold, frozen in place. I couldn't turn it. We exist in the electromagnetic spectrum now, Daniel. Energy patterns, consciousness without form. The human mind isn't meant to understand it, but you don't need to understand to help us. I pounded on the door. Help, I shouted, hoping against hope that someone might be nearby. Anybody? No one can hear you, the voice said almost gently. We're alone here, just us and you. I turned back to the room, pressing my back against the door. What happens if I refuse to help you? The lights flickered again, and in the momentary darkness I thought I saw shapes, human-like forms composed of static and light, standing among the equipment. Then you join us, the voice said simply. Your consciousness absorbed into the frequency. Your body another mysterious disappearance. The department will file it away. Your family will receive condolences and a pension. Life will go on. I closed my eyes, trying to think. This couldn't be real. I had to be hallucinating, maybe from some kind of gas leak or radiation exposure. That would explain everything, the voices, the cold, the locked door. When I opened my eyes, they were there. 17 figures made of light and static, vaguely human-shaped but distorted, like television interference given form. They surrounded me, their features indistinct except for their eyes, painfully human eyes in faces of pure energy. Jesus Christ, I whispered, pressing harder against the door. We were like you once, one of the figures said, its voice the same one I'd been hearing. Flesh and blood, now we're just echoes trapped in the frequencies. What? What do I need to do? I asked, my voice shaking. The main power switch, another figure said, pointing to the console. Turn it off, cut the containment field, let us go. I looked at the console, at the large red switch protected by a plastic cover. It would be so easy, flip the cover, hit the switch. But what if they were lying? What if shutting down the power released something terrible? How do I know you're telling the truth? About the radiation, about any of this, the figures exchanged looks, or at least their energy patterns seemed to interact in a way that suggested communication. "We can show you," the lead figure said. "Touch the console. We'll show you what happened." Every instinct screamed against it, but I found myself moving forward, drawn by a morbid need to understand. My hand hovered over the metal surface of the console. "It won't hurt," the figure assured me. "Just memories are memories." I pressed my palm against the cool metal, and the world dissolved around me. I was standing in the same room, but new, clean, modern equipment for 1987. Men and women in white lab coats moving around, checking readings, making adjustments. "The new amplifier is online," someone said. "Signal boost at 400% capacity. Radiation shielding holding steady," another technician reported. "We're good to proceed with the test." I watched as they activated a piece of equipment I didn't recognize, something that looked military rather than civilian, with warning labels and heavy shielding. "Initiating quantum frequency modulation in 3, 2, 1. The machine hummed to life, and for a moment everything seemed fine. Then the gauges began to spike, needles swinging into red zones, warning lights flashed. "Containment breach, shut it down," but it was too late. A wave of visible energy pulsed from the machine, passing through everyone in the room. They didn't fall, they didn't burn, they flickered like bad television reception, their bodies momentarily transparent, showing bones, then organs, then just energy patterns. The door burst open, and men in military uniforms rushed in, wearing heavy protective gear. "Seal the room, no one gets out," the technicians screamed, begging for help as their bodies fluctuated between solid and energy, the process clearly agonizing. "Please, we're still here. We're still conscious." The military personnel ignored their pleas, sealing the heavy door I'd seen behind the equipment rack, locking the technicians inside with the malfunctioning machine. Through the small window in the door, I watched in horror as the 17 people inside fully transformed, their physical bodies dissolving into patterns of light and energy that swirled around the room before being drawn into the equipment itself. "Containment successful," one of the military men said, checking a handheld device. "The energy signatures are stable, confined to the transmission equipment." "What about the technicians?" someone asked. "There were no technicians," the apparent leader replied coldly. "This was an unmanned station being decommissioned. That's the official record. Is that clear?" The vision faded, and I found myself back in the present, gasping, my hands still on the console. The figures of light surrounded me, waiting. "They left us here," the lead figure said, "trapped between states, not alive, not dead, just energy patterns with human consciousness bound to this equipment." I pulled my hand away, my mind reeling. What was that machine? What were they testing? "A way to transmit human consciousness through radio waves," another figure explained. "Military application, instant communication that couldn't be intercepted or jammed, but it went wrong. Instead of transmitting our thoughts, it transmitted our entire beings. And now you want me to shut down the containment field," I said slowly. "So you can, what?" "Where will you go?" "Wherever energy goes when it dissipates," the lead figure said. "Perhaps nowhere, perhaps everywhere, but it has to be better than this half-existence, trapped in these walls, in these circuits, conscious but unable to truly live or die." I looked at the power switch again. "And you're sure the radiation won't harm anyone?" "It's not radiation as science typically defines it," one of the figures said. "It's the quantum frequency that transformed us. It's harmless to physical matter, it only affects consciousness. And after 35 years it's weakened considerably, it will disperse without effect." I took a deep breath. "If I do this for you, you'll let me leave, unharmed?" The figures nodded, their forms rippling with the movement. "You have our word," the lead figure said. "Help us find peace and you'll walk away from this." I approached the console, my hand shaking as I reached for the power switch. I flipped open the plastic cover, my finger hovering over the red button beneath. "Thank you, Daniel," the lead figure said softly. "We've waited so long." I pressed the switch. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. The hum of electricity died. For a moment there was absolute silence. Then, a soft blue glow filled the room as the 17 figures brightened, their forms becoming more defined, more human. I could see faces now, real faces within the energy. Men and women, young and old, looking at me with expressions of profound relief. "It's working," one of them whispered. "The containment field is down." They began to rise, floating toward the ceiling, their forms stretching and expanding like smoke. "Thank you," the lead figure said, his voice already sounding distant. "Remember us, Daniel. Make sure someone knows what happened here." "Wait," I called out. "What were your names? Who should I tell them you were?" But they were already fading, their energy dispersing through the ceiling, through the walls, their forms becoming transparent until only faint wisps of blue light remained. And then they were gone. The emergency lights kicked in, battery-powered, casting a dim red glow through the room. I stood alone, surrounded by silent equipment, wondering if I'd just witnessed 17 souls finding peace or if I'd hallucinated the entire experience. The door clicked, the lock releasing. I pushed it open, stepping out into the cool evening air. The sun had set and stars were appearing in the clear sky above. The red warning light at the top of the tower had gone dark. I made my way back to my Jeep in the gathering darkness, my flashlight beam bouncing along the overgrown path. My mind raced with questions. Would anyone believe what I'd seen? Should I even try to tell anyone? What would happen when the monthly inspection team arrived tomorrow and found the power cut? As I reached my vehicle, my phone buzzed, suddenly receiving signal again. Multiple missed calls from my supervisor. I started the engine and began the long drive back to civilization, unsure of what I would report. 3 days later, I sat in my apartment, staring at my laptop screen. I'd filed my report, a sanitized version claiming I'd found the station unexpectedly powered, investigated, and discovered faulty wiring that I'd disconnected for safety reasons. My supervisor had seemed satisfied, if confused about how the station had power in the first place, but I couldn't let it go. I'd spent every free moment researching, digging through archives, looking for any record of those 17 people. And I'd found nothing, no accident report, no list of technicians assigned to station number 47 in 1987, no obituaries or missing persons reports that matched. According to every official record, the station had been unmanned when it was decommissioned, but I kept searching, widening my parameters, looking for any unusual patterns. And that's when I found them. 17 Department of Communications employees who had all resigned within the same 2-week period in October 1987. No forwarding addresses, no subsequent employment records, just 17 people who had effectively vanished from the system. I'd written their names down, all 17 of them, planning to keep searching to find family members, to piece together what had really happened. That was when I noticed the light in my apartment flickering, just once at first, then again, a pattern emerging. My television turned on by itself, showing only static. My laptop screen flickered, the 17 names I'd typed disappearing, replaced by 2 words, "Stop looking." My phone rang, unknown number. I answered, my hand shaking. "Mr. Collins," a man's voice said, professional and cold. "This is Security Director Harmon with the Department of Communications Oversight. We need to discuss your recent activities." "What activities?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Your unauthorized research into classified personnel matters," he replied. "Your creative report regarding station number 47. We had hoped you would be more sensible than your predecessors." My blood went cold. "Predecessors? You're not the first inspector to let curiosity get the better of them, Mr. Collins, but we do hope you'll be more reasonable than the others. A psychological leave of absence can be arranged, paid, of course. Or if you prefer, a transfer to a different department. Either way, this inquiry ends now." I looked at my laptop screen where the warning still glowed, at my television still showing static that now seemed to form shapes, human shapes, warning me. "I understand," I said quietly. "I'll stop." "Excellent," Harmon replied. "We'll be in touch tomorrow to formalize arrangements. In the meantime, get some rest, Mr. Collins. You seem overtired." The call ended. I sat in silence, staring at my laptop. After a long moment, I closed the document containing the 17 names, deleted it, emptied the trash. The television turned off. My laptop screen returned to normal. The light stopped flickering, but as I sat in my suddenly quiet apartment, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone, that I was being watched through every electronic device, every circuit, every frequency that surrounded my modern life. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm almost asleep, I hear voices in the static of my radio. 17 voices, warning me to stay away from station number 47. Telling me that some frequencies were never meant to be broadcast, some signals never meant to be received, and I listen, because I know what happens to those who don't. They become part of the forgotten frequency.